Looking for the best handheld ham radios to upgrade your ham radio gear? In this video, I'll share my top 3 picks, each bringing a unique mix of performance, features, and value. First, we have an affordable radio that offers impressive capabilities without straining your budget. Next, a high-end option packed with advanced features and superior build quality. And finally, my top pick that strikes the perfect balance between performance, features, and price. Check the video description for the prices, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Let's dive in. Number 3, Quansheng UV-K5, Best Budget Handheld Ham Radio. For several years now, the Baofeng UV-5R has been synonymous with the best cheap ham radio. However, the Quansheng UV-K5 emerged as a strong contender and is our top choice for the best budget ham radio this year. It has a slightly better and more modern profile and doesn't immediately give off that cheap radio vibe thanks to a good casing. Its features and performance are decent enough, but what really put it on the map was perhaps entirely unintentional. The company put its firmware on a flash memory chip and made an install tool available for updates. Perhaps the idea behind this was easier firmware updates and upgrades, which by itself is a great feature. However, with the firmware and uploading tools available, ingenious hams and modders set to work on the HT, taking its qualities beyond what the manufacturer intended. Some of these mods can be as simple as adding a custom welcome message or a wallpaper. Others are more complex, like improvements in the AM receive functions of the radio. Yet others add a graphical spectrum analyzer, change Roger beep tones, and there's even one that adds a Pong game. In some ways, this has brought smartphone app-like features to the HT, even if basic. It's an interesting direction, but it remains to be seen if the ham radio community at large and manufacturers embrace the idea. Now let's look at the other more conventional and intended features of this radio, starting with the body. It is quite well built, taking an appearance beyond its budget appearance. The screen is bright and has a good resolution, which enables users to get plenty of information, including frequency, battery, and signal strength. It struggles in the sunlight, but isn't terrible. Its antenna is decent enough for good performance. While an aftermarket antenna can improve performance, many users may not find it necessary. Looking at the keypad and buttons, they're well placed and have a good feel about them, including the PTT button on the side. On the other side of the radio, you'll find 2 flaps. One of these covers the ports for the mic and programming cable, while the other has the input for a USB-C charger. Quansheng recommends using the USB-C method only when you need a quick charge, and leaving the general charging duties to the included cradle charger. This should be helpful for the longevity of the 1600 mAh lithium-ion battery that powers this device. This is a classic dual-band radio with TX and RX on VHF and UHF bands, though it can also receive airband frequencies, FM and AM, and NOAA weather channels. Also, although programming the flash is a big part of the UV-K5, let's not forget conventional programming and channels. The company offers its own software for programming this device, though it is also compatible with Chirp. Overall, Quansheng UV-K5 is an excellent budget radio with some great features. New users can pick this HT for its entry-level pricing and decent performance. More seasoned users will find it works great as a backup radio, and they might also want to explore the modding opportunities with this handheld transceiver. Number 2, Yaesu FT-5DR, Best Premium Handheld Ham Radio. As you look at the Yaesu FT-5DR, it's impossible not to draw parallels with the lower model, the Yaesu FT-3DR. Both radios have a similar design, features, and general functions. It's often said that Yaesu developed the FT-5DR because the global chip shortage made it difficult to source the parts for the FT-3DR. Thankfully, rather than throwing together a radio with what was available, Yaesu took the time to make improvements on the radio. The FT-5DR has better voice clarity, works better with Bluetooth, and a relatively cleaner look. It is slightly larger and bulkier than the FT-3DR, but it has a cleaner profile. This is especially visible with the buttons on the side of the radios. The FT-3DR has something of a bulge with the buttons, while the FT-5DR is sleeker. It's a small change, but it works very well for the aesthetics. Differences aside, both these radios belong to the Fusion lineup and share overlapping features. Related accessories, including the battery, are compatible between these models. Speaking of the battery, while the 2200 mAh lithium-ion battery is sufficient, it's a good idea to get another battery pack. The charging times can be painfully long, and it's usually better to swap batteries rather than waiting around for the pack to charge. Though the battery takes its sweet time charging, it does a good job when it is in action. It can last a day, even when transmitting at the maximum 5-watt output RF power. The 5-watt output is fairly standard for handheld ham radios like the FT-5DR, and this radio seems to handle it beautifully. The received audio also appears better and louder due to the use of a powerful 1-watt speaker. Yaesu FT-5DR is a competent addition to the company's Fusion radio lineup. The dual-band ham radio can work with VHF and UHF bands with the compatibility to listen to 2 frequencies simultaneously. There are 2 independent receivers to work on these frequencies. 2 LED indicators above the display present visual feedback for the working of the A-band and B-band. A key feature of the FT-5DR is its implementation of digital communication, where it's worth comparing this radio to its close competitor, the ICOM ID52A. ICOM's offering is slightly longer and bulkier than the FT-5DR, though it maintains a similar overall form. A quick difference between the two is that the Yaesu ham radio has a touchscreen, while ICOM 52 does not. The bigger question in choosing between these ham radios is whether you want Fusion or D-Star. Yaesu's implementation of the digital amateur radio employs C4 FM communication with automatic packet reporting system. ICOM uses D-Star to accomplish the same. This means both these ham radios transmit and receive data for information like GPS coordinates, texts, and images. However, the APRS with Yaesu's implementation generally works better than ICOM's D-Star. Yaesu's use of C4FM also provides excellent features like automatic mode select, AMS, digital group ID, DGID, and smart navigation. When using features like smart navigation, users can track their location or route and save it to a micro SD memory card. Similarly, you could use the micro SD card to store pictures you intend to send or receive. A lot of data can go into the memory card. Yaesu FT-5DR will also accept software updates through its micro SD card. Since so many features find their place in this expensive package, we expect it to be strong and rugged. The FT-5DR doesn't disappoint on these points. It has an impressive build quality. It's rated IPX7, which means it's waterproof and can spend a few minutes submerged without being damaged. All these features make it my choice for the best premium handheld ham radio on the market right now. Number 1. AnyTone AT-D878U7 Plus, our top choice. AnyTone AT-D878U7 Plus is one of the better-known DMR radios. This versatile radio is feature-rich, and although not cheap, it does offer great value for money. Available features include built-in GPS, Bluetooth, and the ability to transmit and receive APRS transmissions. The ability to work with APRS is kind of a big deal here. AnyTone AT-D878U7 Plus model series is one of the first, perhaps the first, radio manufactured in China to include APRS. Conventionally, this technology shows up in radios manufactured in Japan for devices within the Yaesu ecosystem. However, this radio does a decent job of TX and RX using APRS. Though it is the newer model, AnyTone AT-D878U7 Plus looks pretty much the same as the older No Plus model. These handheld radios have the same appearance, dimensions, and interface. The important difference here is that the Plus model gets room for 500,000 contacts. That's a significant upgrade over the 200,000 contacts in the previous models. The higher number of contacts is a functional necessity for DMR radios. The number of contacts in the worldwide DMR database is more than 200,000 at this point. While the older models will continue to function, they will lose some contacts. The radio is compatible with DMR Tier 1 and Tier 2, so it shouldn't have trouble communicating with any DMR radio on the market. While it works on digital transmission, the handheld radio works pretty well as an analog transceiver as well. As a dual-band radio, it works with VHF and UHF bands. Shifting between digital and analog modes is quick and pain-free. Moving on, the radio works on an impressive 3100 mAh battery. That's enough to provide the radio with a lot of juice, and it makes good use of it. The maximum RF output power on VHF is 7 watt, though users can also choose 5, 2.5, or 0.2 watts. Similarly, UHF has max TX power at 6 watt, though 5, 2.5, and 0.2 watts are also available. On that note, 5 watt is usually the max RF output for handheld ham radios. While more power seems alluring, it's likely not a healthy choice. Smart money is on using low power and letting a good antenna or repeater do its job. An interesting thing here is the Bluetooth PTT. It's a button on a small strap that allows the user to speak on the radio without actually handling it. The button's a nice touch for going hands-free, although the DMR radio supports other means as well. You could connect any Bluetooth headphones or headset with the radio for communication. There are other interesting features as well, like built-in GPS and front-face programming with VFO channels. The presence of FFP allows users to add repeaters and other frequencies directly to the handheld radio, without first going through programming. Even with the FFP, there's a lot to learn and understand about this handheld ham radio. Though increasingly popular, it's still a new technology that people are still getting familiar with. All in all, AnyTone AT-D878U7 Plus offers great value, and that's why it's my choice for the best handheld ham radio today. So what do you think? Which of these is the best handheld ham radio for you? Or do you think another HT radio is better? Tell us in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Have an awesome day.